Hey guys, it's Geek Out Everything, and finally the wait is over because Poco F2 has launched and it's a pretty great device. And guys, in this video, we're gonna look at some of the specs of the Poco F2 and just comparing them with the OnePlus 8, which is the closest competitor to this Poco F2. So now if we look at some quick specs of the Poco F2, then as you can see it has some latest and greatest specs like 865 processor, which is again a pretty good deal, UFS 3.1 storage, a 4700 milliamp hour battery, which is again really good, and a quad camera setup. We'll go into depth later on, but as you can see we have got some rough idea, and it is 5G obviously because it has a 865 processor and a 6.67 full HD plus AMOLED display, which is again a really good thing. So OnePlus 8 also has some really nice specs, and all of those specs are actually pretty close to this Poco F2, and that's why we are comparing both of these devices, and we'll also look at some price difference as well in the later part of the video. So let's move on to the OnePlus 8. So as you can see, this is the OnePlus 8. Now if we just go down and see some display specs, then it has 6.56-inch display, which is an AMOLED display, whereas on Poco F2 we have a 6.67-inch display and it is AMOLED as well. So I think 6.56 and 6.6 is not much of a difference, but yeah, that is what it is, and I don't think so it's gonna make any kind of huge impact, but yeah, that's actually what it is. And it is Corning Gorilla Glass 5, same as the OnePlus, but wait for a second, the OnePlus has 90 Hz display, whereas on Poco F2 we do not have any kind of high refresh rate display. It's only a 60 Hz, which is kind of a huge deal because it's 2020, guys. I think it's a bummer that we haven't got any kind of a high refresh rate display, not a 90 Hz, not even like 120 or anything like that, but yeah, that's actually what it is. And yeah, the CPU is 865 processor, latest and greatest, with 8GB and 128 and 12GB variant as well. Like 8GB, 12GB variant are available, and battery is 4300. But whereas on the Poco F2 we have a 128GB, 6GB and 256GB, 8GB. We do not have any kind of that 12GB RAM variant, but I think do you really need that 12GB of RAM? I don't think so. But guys, we have a UFS 3.1 storage on Poco F2, whereas on OnePlus 8 we have UFS 3.0, which is I think a pretty good thing because it's gonna make your storage faster, which is I think really great. Now coming to the most important part, which is camera. So on the OnePlus 8 we have 48 megapixel main camera and a macro lens as well of 2 megapixel and ultra wide, which is of 16 megapixel. And yeah, it's a I think a triple camera setup and no optical zoom, so it does not have any kind of a telephoto lens or anything like that. And so yeah, if we compare to the Poco F2, we have 64 megapixel, which is better than 48 megapixel on OnePlus 8, and 5 megapixel macro lens and 13 megapixel ultra wide, which is I think better than OnePlus 8 because it also has a better IMX sensor than OnePlus 8. It's at 686, whereas on OnePlus 8 we had I think 568 or anything, something like that. But guys, video, if it comes down to the video, it can shoot up to 8K. Okay, it's just like the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, but whereas on OnePlus 8 you can go up to 4K 60 FPS, which is I think good. But guys, 8K video capability is not something you really need, but if we have this, then it's okay to we have something like that, because yeah, it just works like that. And guys, the one thing which is really great about the Poco F2 is the headphone jack. Yes, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack on Poco F2, whereas on OnePlus 8 we do not have any kind of headphone jack. We have only Type-C port, which is I think kind of a big deal, because if you are a gamer or if you're buying a Poco F2 for gaming, then I think Poco F2 is a better choice because it has a that 3.5mm headphone jack, whereas on OnePlus 8 we do not have any kind of headphone jack. So it's a pretty big deal, because guys, I have to say, because that it's 3.5 headphone jack is pretty rare these days, and if you're getting it, then it's pretty good. So now, sensors, it has fingerprint sensor, accelerometer, gyro, and all that stuff. And guys, the battery is 4700 milliamp hour battery on the Poco F2, whereas on OnePlus we had 4300, which is I think kind of a disappointment from the OnePlus side. And we also have a 30-watt fast charging on both of these devices, so yeah, that's a pretty good thing. But guys, lesser battery life on OnePlus 8 is I think kind of a bummer. But guys, yeah, these were some of the specs, and if I talk about what's good and what's bad in both of these devices, then I think OnePlus 8s have pretty good specs, but I think Poco F2 also has some really nice specs, and in some category Poco F2 doing a better job than OnePlus 8, which is a pretty big deal, I have to say. And yeah guys, that's about it. And now if you look at the pricing, which is I think the whole reason why we are making this video, guys, the OnePlus 8 is priced at 45,000, whereas Poco F2 is priced at $500. It is starting at $500, which is I think 35,000 in rupees, guys. So there's a difference of 10,000 rupees, which is a pretty huge difference. And guys, if we are getting a same specs in both of these devices, and I think in some category the Poco F2 doing a better job, like we have UFS 3.1 storage, a bigger battery, and yeah. But on OnePlus 8 we have a 90Hz display, which is I think a pretty big deal in 2020. But guys, if you can live without that, I think Poco F2 Pro is the way to go, because guys, it's a pretty huge difference in terms of price. And I think if you are buying a device for gaming or anything else, then the 10,000 price difference does make a lot of difference. And one more thing guys, both of these devices don't have any kind of certification, like any kind of water resistance certification is not there on both of these devices. So yeah, but I think OnePlus has some unofficial waterproofing in their devices. But yeah, that's that. But guys, that's for this video now. And if you just simply like this video, hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, peace out.